Hey there. Welcome back to another 5-minute book review. I'm your host, John Hartness. I am the publisher of Falstaff books. I am a fantasy writer, urban fantasy author. I write comedy, horror, science fiction, basically anything anyone will pay me for. And this week I am back. It's been a couple of weeks. I'm sorry. Um, for a while, it was just hard to have anything hold my attention long enough to finish a book. There's several things that I'm enjoying that I'm still reading. It's just they've taken a lot longer to get through than they normally would. So I veered off from the things that I was reading specifically for this, and I was like, screw it, I'll just pick up something that I know nothing about, I have no preconceptions of, and I did. I think it came across either in a BookBub newsletter or maybe eReader IQ. Those are two services I subscribe to their daily newsletters, and I get an email every day with books that are on sale. Probably got it on BookBub. I highly recommend both of those services. BookBub, you sign up for their newsletter, and every morning about 9:30 Eastern, I get an email with the genres that I've selected. And I've picked a whole host of genres that I like to read. But, I don't read historical fiction, so I don't get any notifications for historical fiction books. So that's really good for me. And then eReader IQ, they have a plugin for the Chrome browser that you can plug it into Chrome and it will monitor Amazon prices. So it'll show you the historical price graph, and then you can set it up to track specific books for you or track authors. So it'll say, let's say you want the new Dresden Files book, but you don't want to pay, I don't know, what is it, $12.99? You want to wait until it drops down below to $9.99 or less. You just plug in, track it, hit $9.99, and whenever the book gets down to $10 or less, you'll get an email. I use both of those services a lot. This, I think, was on BookBub because I didn't know the book existed, so I didn't track it. It's called Deep Storm, and it's by Lincoln Child. Now, earlier this year, I reviewed, I think it was Old Bones, by Douglas Preston and Lincoln Child, who wrote Relic is one of the best horror novels in forever. It's really great. The movie was pretty good, but I love that book. So you should definitely check out Relic. The sequel was okay. But this is Lincoln Child writing on his own, and the book I read was called Deep Storm. Now, I got into this, and you're reading, and the premise is that people on an oil rig are drilling for oil, and they hit something unexplained. And then, boom, we jump to the future, 6 months or 2 years or something. I don't know. We jump some amount of time in the future, and now it's this enormous underwater exploration. And oh my God, what have we found? Is it the lost city of Atlantis? What the shit? And you think it's going to be like Clive Cussler meets Dan Brown kind of archaeological, nautical thriller. And then, holy shit, it's a science fiction book. And that's something that Child does in his books that he co-writes with Douglas Preston, because all of the books of theirs that I've read have just a hint of supernatural element. This has more than a hint. It's not like spacey. You could still read it if you don't dig science fiction, and I think you'd probably like it. But I was very surprised. It caught me off guard that the science fiction element and it was really well done. Something that bugged me, though, the series is titled the Jeremy Logan Books, Volume 1. Jeremy Logan's in like one scene. He's not the protagonist of this book. He's not really even relevant to the book. So I assume he's going to be relevant to books 2. I think there are 3 books currently out. I assume that Jeremy Logan is important at some point. But the protagonist for this book is Dr. Richard Crane. He's a former military guy. He's a scientist. He's a scientist. He's a physician. And he's brought in because there are a series of unexplained illnesses on this underwater research station. So they've brought him in because he's kind of an epidemiologist. Now, we're currently living in the first state, I don't know if this is the first stages or the late stages. We're currently living in the COVID-19 pandemic, so everybody's a fucking epidemiologist. It's amazing. If you look on social media, everybody knows everything about tracking unexplained diseases right now. So, and I didn't know I was getting that in the book either. I was reading to escape reality and armchair epidemiologists, and I got one. But the characters are tight on. There's an inherent tension in the military side of the expedition and the science side of the expedition, and you think you understand what everybody's motivations are, and then they do a good job of flipping that. There's a saboteur, and they do different red herrings and different breadcrumbs. I didn't figure out who the saboteur was until I was supposed to. And that's something to keep in mind. When you're writing a mystery, you want your readers to figure out who done it about a chapter before your protagonist does, usually. And that's about when I figured out who the saboteur was, about a chapter before it happened on the page. The reason you do this is you want your readers to feel smarter than the characters. Also, that lets your reader think, oh yeah, this breadcrumb and that's why that character did this in chapter 3, and that's why, Miss Scarlet was in the library lighting candles because she was going to kill a guy with a candlestick later. You want to have your reader figure it out a little bit before your character does. And in this book, I did, so I felt smart. And it's the sign of a well-crafted mystery and thriller, which I would expect. I mean, Lincoln Child has written 20-something, 30-something books at this point, and many of them have been massive bestsellers. I would expect him to be pretty solid. I enjoyed the book quite a bit. Definitely recommend it. I will read more in the series. I don't know that I'm going to pay $12 or $13 for the ebook. It feels like a mass market paperback read to me. So in my head, that's like an $8 ebook. It doesn't feel like a hardback buy to me. There are certain books that I love so much, I would have, if I was reading it in print, I would buy the hardcover as soon as it comes out. That's the kind of book I'll pay $12 or $13 for the ebook. This isn't that book. This is more a popcorn book. It's super enjoyable. It ain't trying to change the world, which is good because it won't. So yeah, I'm not likely to run out and buy the other books in the series at full retail, but I'll definitely track them anywhere from $5 to $8. I'm happy to pick those up. So Deep Storm by Lincoln Child. Now I want to put a plug in here at the end for another book that I didn't publish, that hasn't been published yet. I'm still reading this, and I'll likely give it a review when it's closer to release date. But it's called Jennifer Strange, and it's by my friend Kat Scully. This book's available for pre-order now, and I highly recommend that you go to Copper Dog Publishing or your local bookstore or wherever you prefer to order print books and order the hardcover of Jennifer Strange. Now, I typically consume books digitally. That's how my life works best. I like to read in bed. I like to read in different places. So it's really convenient for me to be able to read a little bit on my phone and then have the Kindle next to the bed, open up the same book. Would you like to go to the nearest page read? Being able to flip back and forth between the different digital copies is really convenient. This book in particular, you need to buy it in print and buy it in hardcover. Buy it in the best possible format because of the design of the book itself. A phone does not do this book justice. Neither does my Kindle Paperwhite screen. I'm intentionally only reading this book on my iPad because the screen is bigger, because Kat is an illustrator as well, and she has done a lot of illustrations in the book and a lot of design elements in the book, and your experience will be improved the better you consume it. The story by itself is really good. The book, without anything else, is a good book. But then when you add to it being able to experience the designs and the chapter headings and the journal entries in its finest form, that's when you're really going to win with this book. So go to, I'm pretty sure it's Copper Dog Publishing is the press. Order the hardcover of Jennifer Strange. You will not regret it. It's a great book by an awesome debut author, and it's going to be presented in a format that absolutely makes it worth the $30. I've already pre-ordered my copy, and by the time it arrives, I will have read the book long before, because I'll probably finish the book this weekend. So there's my public service announcement and my review of Deep Storm. You guys get out there. Tell me in the comments what you're reading. And check out our other shows. Please, if you enjoy this video, if you enjoy all of these videos, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and ring the bell to get notified every time we have new content, because Melissa, my associate publisher, really likes it when people ring the bell. So ring the bell. Make Melissa happy. I'm out of here. I'm going to go play Borderlands. You guys have a good night. Hey, take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Bye.